This week we are back on the subscriber trail building our largest feature yet. If you're new to this series, we've been building a mountain bike trail in my backyard where I let my subscribers vote on each set of features that I build. Like last time, we made this huge step up that rolled in from the on-off deck, and I had you guys vote between a whale tail feature or a creek jump. And with over 20,000 votes cast, it turned out 63% were for the whale tail. So in this video, I'll be showing you how I built my take on a whale tail feature. Before we get into it though, let me just say a quick thank you to U-Haul for sponsoring this episode. So we're out here at the start of this build where the whale tail is going to go. Actually, you guys are literally sitting right where it's going to go. Back there, that is the landing for the step up. So you'll shoot down that, hopefully come around these little trees here, and then come right down through here. For the run into the whale tail, we needed a hard berm to the left, followed by a nice kicker to get up onto it. So to make quick work of roughing this in, I grabbed the skid steer and got to digging. Before I get too carried away on the jump here, I want to mark out and actually probably make the whale tail, because the whale tail's not going to be movable or like changeable after it's made. The jump can be moved a bunch, so let's go mark some posts. To know where all my posts would go, I created an exact sketch of the feature in Affinity Designer. Now there are countless types of whale tail variations, but I knew I wanted mine to resemble a sine wave like this. So I sketched one up and marked out all the measurements every 6 inches from its highest point. We'll get into why I did this in a bit, but while I was designing, I also wanted to think of a way to make our feature stand out a bit. So what I came up with was to slant the deck boards on the sides like this. That way it could have a more rounded shape like an actual whale. And in addition to this idea, while I was scoping out the landscape, I thought up something that could definitely set it apart. Like I said in the last one, I want it to split off like a real whale tail where it goes off in 2 directions. But we've got these trees right here. I'm gonna have it go right into this. We've got a nice drop off to the left, so we're gonna utilize that with a jump, and then to the right, there's not much of a drop off, but I'm gonna use those trees to create a little bit of a wall ride type scenario, and we'll kind of hip that way, which is gonna be so cool. I'm so stoked to get this going. So yeah, now you know what I'm doing. That's the whole plan. Now we just gotta execute it, which is always the, I don't know, the fun part. All right, let's do it. Here I'm getting a center line established so everything is in a straight line. It's smart to get your post at certain spots on wavy features like this so that you don't need 2-foot wide boards to cut your curve into. For example, you could take out this center post here and run a board all the way across, but in that scenario, you need a 13-inch wide board, which your average home improvement store doesn't carry, and it tends to be very expensive. But if you add a post in the middle of the curve, you can use half that width and probably get double the strength. By the end of the second day, I had all my holes dug so that next morning I could start packing in our posts. And this is where, in my opinion, the fun begins. Remember how I said we took measurements every 6 inches from the highest point on the feature? That was because I knew I would have that line to measure from once my posts were set up. And to get that line all the way through the feature, we use something called a water level. Somebody brought this up a while back as far as like when I'm making these things, how to make everything level. And yeah, it's pretty much ingenious. It's super, super simple. It's cheapest level you could get, and all you need is a tube and water, of course. So I'm going to show you guys what this does and why this is so effective, and why it's actually more effective than like a laser or anything like that. So you get a tube, any vinyl tubing, the bigger it is, the quicker it will work. But anyway, I'm going to fill it with water, and I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so now we've got some water in there. So you'll pick wherever you're at, wherever you want to start your, whatever you want to level off of for your project. And you'll take one end and stick it up on there and level out your water with that. You'll see, let me zoom in on the water here actually. See that? Now, if we bring this other one over, it wants to stay level here and here. they'll stay exactly on the same plane of area. So if no matter how I tilt this, or no matter where I put this end, it wants to stay level. Everything wants to stay in the same exact spot. Pretty cool.
So with this new tool, all I had to do was figure out how high I wanted my landing to be, aka the highest point on the feature. Then I could use the water level to mark on all my posts that exact same measurement. I can measure down and know exactly where to place my running boards, and then after running a string across on that same measurement, I can measure down and mark the exact curve that was on my computer. Using the string to measure down worked really well getting the curve onto the wood, but I think next time I'll just use a straight long board, because with the string I was having to make sure I wasn't dragging it down with the tape measure when I was marking things out. But other than that, it worked amazingly, and with our curve marked out, I was easily able to cut the boards exactly like my design. I wasn't finished with the whale feature yet, but rain was forecast the next day, so I decided to prioritize getting the run-in rideable, and I didn't have landings for either side yet, so we had to scramble to get dirt for those too.
Thought you lost me, but I'm right behind. I'm dirty and I'm fancy, and I made you blind.
I'll be the first to admit that both of these landings looked terrible, but they were definitely rideable. So I woke up early the next morning and I started in on giving the whale its finishing touches.
That's going to take a lot of work to do on this whole thing, but I'm doing it. Let's do it.
Biased, but I think this feature turned out absolutely stunning. And fun fact, killer whales are between 20 and 26 feet long, so this feature is an actual real-life representation of how big one is. But how well does our killer whale ride? To find out, let me take 15 seconds to thank U-Haul for sponsoring this build. U-Haul has been a huge supporter of the subscriber trail, and they just want to give you guys 15% off any of their huge selection of bike racks. All you have to do is enter the code BTB under the gift certificate section and you'll get 15% off. Now, with the help of Jay from Roots MTB, let's find out how this thing rides.
Woo! Yo! Man, that's awesome off the wall ride. That's really nice.
Yeah, that was perfect. I'm just gonna say it, this is hands down my favorite feature so far, but I messed up a couple things. First, the jump onto the whale needs to be closer. I want it to launch you straight into it so the first half can work more like a roller. The second thing I need to change is the landing for the jump. Even though it has some slope to it, you still feel like you're sending it to flat. But other than that, this thing is a freaking blast to ride. Sadly, once you hit the jump, you're at the bottom of the hill, so I'm just gonna berm that to the left and call that trail done. But we do have the option to build one last feature off the wall ride side. So here are your options. Option 1 is going to be a hip jump. Essentially, this is a tabletop jump with a landing on the side instead of straight through. I've never ridden one of these before, so this would definitely be interesting. But option 2 is a vert wall. This is a quarter pipe that extends straight up so you can flip back around as you go upward. This too is something I've not ridden before, so it could be just as interesting. Again, option 1 is the hip jump, and option 2 will be the vert wall. Either way, click the link here to cast your vote on my website, or just go to backyardtrailbuilds.com/vote. And if you don't mind after you vote, check out the new t-shirts I've got available. Anyway, thanks for watching. A huge thank you to my patrons for supporting me. You guys rock. Next time you see me, we'll be doing the first full rides of this trail. And we're gonna light this thing up. Leave your guess as to what that means in the comments, and I'll see you then.